Hey, welcome back to the Gymnazo podcast. I am your host, CJ Kobliska, Director of Programming and R&D here at Gymnazo in San Luis Obispo, and we are in good company today with one of my good friends, the craziest trainer of them all, Jarrod Cardona. My man, welcome to the show, but before I hand you off the mic, you, my friend, have made such a difference in my life, especially with the kettlebell, with the steel mace, with the rope, with just all movement in general and how to approach it from a very fun, playful, organic, authentic way. Welcome to the show, man. Welcome to it.
I'm stoked to just talk shit with you. I'm excited. Thanks for having me, Gymnazo and CJ, guiding the conversation today. Happy to be here. And just a comment, craziest trainer. Um, Crazy trainer, I just picked as an Instagram handle, but I knew it was a bridge for all crazy trainers. And I would say you're one of the craziest trainers I've ever met, let alone humans that runs the trainer. So thanks for calling me that, but hats off to you as well, my friend.
Hey, cheers, baby. Crazy knows crazy.
Hey,
How did that come about though, man? I know you shared this a few times with me of just I just chose a name and I knew it would become something, but what does it mean to hold the title, the crazy trainer?
at the time I was at a private studio, and I remember one of the owner was like, "Hey, you should pretty much get your own nut, like take care of yourself." So he told me Instagram's a big thing. You have personality, charisma, showmanship, all that stuff, and I was like, "Damn, that's cool. Pick a brand, pick a superhero. That's sick." And so I ran with like Death by J Rod. You know what? That's not all of me. Like that's a Dom side of me. That's not like the everything. It's the beginning. There was J Rod dot fit. That's stupid. J Rod, I was going by because Jared from Subway kind of ruined Jared for a while. So I went by J Rod because Jarrod spelled like Gerard, felt good to me. So I went by J Rod for like 2 or 3 years. But J Rod dot fit was my Instagram handle. Didn't feel right as I developed my human more and my coach hat more. And I remember I had seen a quote because I felt very alone in the space of training, in fitness. Instagram, I didn't explore yet. I didn't see how many other movers and trainers that there were. But I knew that I was a different breed, at least at the time, from the coaches that I had been around, the experienced ones. Um, and I knew sometimes I got referred to as crazy and a little bit nuts. And it's because at an LA Fitness, big corporate gym, I'm that trainer on the floor trying to think about people's feet, not because I knew about it, just because I'm watching people's patterns and I'm seeing everyone's toes always out. And I'm like, that's weird. I don't think that's the way it's supposed to be all the time, especially when I look at natural athletes. Like the way they step seems to be more neutral and going through internal and all these little things. And I didn't know that at the time, but just again, a pattern. And so I would be at this public gym. People be like, you're nuts. What are you doing on the floor, you weirdo? Like it's a bodybuilding gym. And I cared about my people's results with their knees, like their pains, their whatever. So I started to be like, oh, the word crazy is also passionate. And I'd seen this thing on the internet about, hey, crazy is just another term for batshit passionate. I was like, that's me. I'm especially at the time very emotional. I'm very loud and I'm aggressive and I have this like spice, but a big part of that is just the heart that runs everything. And um I recognize like, oh, I'm just crazy in a world that's not that passionate. Like I stand out
Mm.
like that. And so I was like, oh, the crazy trainer. Like sounds fucking cool. Like that sounds like a brand. That sounds like a thing. That could be a thing. I could be a thing. Platform. This could be I don't know what it is, but it could be something. And so I typed in on Instagram. Nobody had it. I was like, fire. I'm taking this one. Put it down. And it's developed over time what it meant, what it means to be the crazy trainer, what it means to be a crazy trainer, and recognizing that there's many of us. And I'm not, although I have the brand, uh, everyone's a crazy trainer who gives a fuck. like who cares a lot about helping people and who wants to explore their movements for the sake of their own exploration, who wants to learn more and grow. Those are my people.
Crazy equals passion. What I got from
Mm.
that. And I mean, I want to dive into the developing your human, because I think that's a phrase I hear you say often, and it resonates with me a lot, just in the sense of we're constantly getting a lot of signals and feedback from external sources and methodologies in fitness, and just how to live a good, long, happy, healthy life, especially through integrating the fitness. When did you start recognizing that you had this power to develop yourself, and you could, based on what you provided in your ingredient list for your own development, and created this concoction of the passionate guy that just loves movement and wants to share? What are kind of those little stepping stone pieces that kind of got you to feeling like you were developing your human, as opposed to just living your
Mm.
life and kind of rolling with whatever life throws at you, but you actually have the power to develop?
That's an awesome question. And I think a lot of us have that power through training, big movement, but for me at the time, like bodybuilding and losing body fat at the age of 20, at least my first go around, because I had 2 rounds where I gained that weight back a year later based off my emotions not being processed. Excuse me. Um, Soda water. But the first time, you know, I went through that and I think I dropped about 35 pounds, 30 pounds, whatever it was. My shape went from like a beer belly looking thing to like my flex. I saw all my abs and lit up. I'd never seen my abs before. So at age 20, I'm going nuts about it and showing it off as much as I can for everyone else's validation, not for my own at the time. Um, but, in that journey, I ended up going through a tough experience where um, I didn't have access to certain things. And I went the next day after a very tough day. Just kind of, I just got in trouble with some things and life was just not so hot. It was very emotional. And the next day I went to go bench press and I was like, I have control over this. Like, this is my choice to show up today after the government told me something and I'm not allowed to be or do or whatever it was, right? Restrictions. I got in trouble with the law with marijuana in Florida, which wasn't, accepted, and they're still working on it, et cetera. But, that put me in this predicament where I felt very victimized and I felt very lack of control. My identity, who am I, what am I? I remember the next day I stepped into the gym to train because that was my discipline. I had not lost the discipline of training and claiming that I could squeeze my pecs and they can't tell me if I can't. They can't stop me from doing this. Like, I control this. I control me. Nobody controls me. And that was kind of a big pillar, I believe, claiming more ownership over my life and over my body. And then
Hmm.
these stepping stones have continued to progress on each identity that's developed over time. Whether it was like owning a small gym, that was a big stepping stone into, wow, I can make a wave. I can help build culture. I can I can bring community together. I can run a fucking business on love, not
Hmm.
a bunch of money, not a bunch of, you know, ego in it, just fucking love for the game, love for the process, love for the people. And so that was a big stepping stone and claiming ownership, um, over my life too, and not allowing just life to swoop me wherever. And that other stepping stones where I realized, like, yes, you need leaders, but sometimes you need to turn that off. Like, and I need to lead myself and let let me make the trial and error. That's a important stepping stone for me, which leads to where I'm at now, which is I don't need always to do that. At an older age, I can listen to other people's wisdoms if I really admire them and I have faith and build trust with them. But yeah, so many stepping stones, life, right? Breakups, heartbreaks, whatever. Um, those are all stepping stones to claiming more ownership over your life. Yeah.
Mm, I appreciate that, man. I resonate with a lot of that, especially during the time of, we were peaked here at Nazo in 2019 in a sense of, okay, it's time to. We've got a robust staff, a whole coaching staff that's on the same page. We've got a thriving community of people moving. How do we bring this to more people? Because you've gone through some steps to get here. Starting from I jumped in Gymnazo almost 10 years ago, and Gymnazo about a couple years old at that point, being a small hub inside of another larger facility, just using a little rental space there, a little studio, and then that community growing a bit bigger to where it needs more space and turning it into its own hub where it kind of runs itself. Talking about the stepping stones of developing the business. I mean, you went through that with owning a business when you were in Florida and creating a community, like a brick and mortar space for people to come in and develop themselves through sharing your practices, and some of the other coaches you had there sharing their practices, and uh, finding the success to build off of, and getting to a point where you've got people coming in consistently showing up for themselves, and coaches showing up to serve with what they know and their experience. What was that like when you owned that the training spot in Florida, that stepping stone approach you took there, not just personally, but to create a space where people show up consistently? What was the turning point there? I know you're not there anymore and you're on another wave of your life, but I know there's a big stepping stone for you, and just knowing how you can serve a population in a space. How did it start out? Did you have one or two clients that were coming through? Was it kind of like, hey, we're just going to open this space up, and then people started coming in, they heard about it? What was that approach like as a business owner?
Well, it took me a while to understand the word business owner is absolutely bonkers opening up a gym at the time, looking back at experience, but love I did that, smart as fuck at the same time to develop who I am now. But I think I had about 10, pretty much 10 to 15 regular clients that I've been seeing for probably a combination of 3 to 5, 2 to 3 years at the time. It's probably only 2 to 3 years. Um, and at least 8 of them, I think it was like 3 years each one, my main income as well, the people who I saw the most, they were like, hey, like we've bounced around from this gym to this gym and now to this gym, and this gym's closing. And like no one accepts us. Like we're black sheep wherever we go. And
Mm.
I at the time had a close friend who wanted to be a business investor in it and wanted to take a role in there. And he was like, why don't you just open up your own space? Like, fuck it. You've been killing it. You're going to do great. Do it. And so I decided, sure, fuck it. I have no idea what this is going to entail, what it takes, but you said it. Let's go. Like, whatever you take over, on that side. I don't want to think about that. I just want to train. I want to focus on the cash flow coming in and the people being really happy. Um, and that's it. I know I'm great at that, and that's what I want to be doing, and I want to maximize there. So opening that up like business wise was very tough because a few months later we had disagreements, things didn't work out, whatever, and I ended up kind of having the whole wave thrown at me and was like, oh shit, there's a lot going on here, and I got extremely anxious. In the beginning, it was just overwhelming thinking about, oh, for 3 years I have to maintain this space. I just signed this lease. There's no security net, like it is what it is. At the time, the cash flow had been taken out of the bank account due to some disagreements and some emotional decision making. And I'm over here like, oh crap, I can't even afford anything. I don't have a place to live, and I'm owning a space. Like this is no position to be in right now. This is right before COVID hits, right? I think this is probably 2019, right before COVID hits, and I just opened the space. And so in the beginning it was overwhelming, and I would say I started kettlebell juggling and flipping all at the same time, which is a beautiful process to unfold together. But my clients, I remember 2 of them just one day they're like, "Are you okay?" They really checked in with me, and they could tell I was not okay. My behavior was different. I was quieter, present, but not as communicative, etc. And I kind of broke down and was like, "I'm not okay. I don't know what to do. I'm scared." Da, da, da. And so opening up and being vulnerable with people who really see me and really care for me, I realize can be a superpower. When you're really in the realm of unconditional energy, of love, of people who really want to see you just thrive and succeed. Um, that was a part of the beginning of understanding what the training spot was and is with the people who are a part of it. So that was a very powerful stepping stone as a leader to realize I don't have the answers. Um, Other people care about me and I should ask for more help. So that was the beginning phase of the business side, at least like as a leader, starting to see those coins and how they kind of come together to create something beautiful. And bringing on more trainers, oof, that was a big, big yell for help, is what it really was. Looking back at it, I felt so lonely. I have Instagram and it's starting up. I'm getting a little bit of like fire there, but it's Instagram, and we've connected over time and we've built relationships on social media over time. But at the beginning, it just kind of felt like this fake thing, and I'm just kind of here to try to play with it. But the people coming into the community, that became a part of my fire of energy, of feeling lit up, that people show up for themselves the way I show up for myself. And I'm not crazy. I'm not alone. There's beautiful people here. The trainers were the next move. And that was a nuts process in the beginning because I'm just putting out things on Yelp, just looking for trainers, people can rent the space business. I'm thinking about it as from a business angle. I'm thinking about it from an emotional angle. I'm thinking about it from a professional angle, which drives a man nuts. Looking back at all of that, just trying to maintain all those types of visions and relationships at the same exact time, or drove my younger man nuts. Excuse me. So that was a tough process in the beginning because there's a lot of different kinds of trainers and they train different. And do you just take people in who completely train different? Is that wrong? Is that right? Like, what is this? And at the time, I don't care. I'm just trying to, yeah, like someone wants to learn from me, wants to be like my student, learns kettlebells, Mace. Like this bodybuilder wants to come in and do this stuff. So I'm bringing on, a few bodybuilders at the time because I think business wise, this is going to be smart. They're aesthetic. I'm not that aesthetic at the time. This is going to be a great move. We're going to bring a whole. I'm thinking, let's bring all kinds of communities together, bodybuilders, powerlifters. Like, yeah, this will be the hub. This will be like an on it because I love, I admire the fuck out of on it. And I was like, see, this is a hub of energy. So bringing on trainers was a process. And then, I remember a few people I had seen at the time and they were twins. And I was like, yeah, these are like great people. I could feel the vibe. And another trainer, I'd reached out to me, Jimmy, Victor, Frank, those three in the beginning. And I was like, you guys like to join? Like, I'm not going to charge you much, like, or nothing. Like, just come hang, like, just come help build this thing. And professionally, business wise, stupid. Like, again, a business can't just run on love, and I didn't have that mindset. I just wanted to share the love that I felt I could give and provide. I believed I was overflowing when realistically, I live in a 3D world. So I need money, I need a place to live, I need food, I need to have some clarity with what brings me security as a human. And I'm over here just excited to get other educators and people I can tell are passionate. And then we got, Gabriel at the time, who used to go by Coach Cordy, where he wanted to intern and just learn coming out of UCF. I'm like, I'm going to help people get stabilized. I'm going to help these guys who work part-time training jobs at Crunch. Like they want to teach breath work and FRC. Like that's not the place for them. Like they kind of come here. Like I care about that kind of shit. Like that's interesting to me. And another coach, like I was like, man, that really power to value you. Like come over here. We'll value you. Like the training spot is a loving place. Like, it'll nurture, it'll help all that. So getting the trainers on board was also a learning process because then there's, egos and, lack of communication. There's team energy. And what does it mean to build a team? And what does it mean to be all leaders at the same time? who's organizing everything with emails and meetings, and is that my personality type? Hell no. Okay, I got to find some help, and then I entered that process of getting some help, management, assistant. Shout out to Alo, like she was huge to help out in the beginning, and it was a big part of that. When the gym was thriving is when all those pieces were flowing together, right? They were all coming together. The visions were all there. Everyone's winning. And so we all keep fanning the flame together. And so I got to see a lot of that momentum. And another big thing about in the gym is like, it, I'll end it on a beautiful note. One thing is it's all trickles down from leadership. So good or bad, I feel like it's all about who's leading the ship, how well they know themselves, how well they know their vision, how true they are to themselves, how authentic they are to their vision because of that authenticity. And that just takes years of experience building. And I'm over here like, oh, this is my visions. And some of them were. Some of them were other people's voices looking back at things over time. And so, asking other people to trust your vision and then realizing like, damn, like, is this really my most authentic me when I closed the spot down was kind of like a piece of it. I was like, you know what? Like, I want to do all these other things. Like, I don't want to play this role. This is a lot. Like, I'm not getting to do life and live. And so there's so many, or I'm not allowing myself, but also don't feel safe enough because I have so much space I need to hold and I don't have any of the tools yet. I don't actually have the tools for this. I
Learning
just
along the way.
love, yep, I'm just fucking surfing and figuring out things and exploring. So that was a lot, to when I look back at it, to have to process as a human and be take ownership and realize like this isn't what I want. And if I really wanted, I would do all the things I need to do. And I don't really want it. I want to do the other things. These other visions are calling my name. So that was a really tough choice. But also again, as a leader, like it taught me a lot as a human to have to run into all that stuff too. Um, but it also like building a community and finding and being a part of community can be a very holy experience. Everyone who walked in that door would light each other on fire. It was intimate instead of where you go to this big corporate gym and nobody really knows each other, lack of connection. People really knew each other's names. What did they do for their careers? They go out and drink together, eat together, lifestyle together, and those are unforgettable fucking experiences and memories that I think raised and continue to raise the standard of living for people. And it's like, damn, these are the kind of relationships I want in my life. These are
Yeah,
the kind
it
of,
sustains.
yep.
I'm fascinated by just the different methodologies you bring in, different practices, different coaches that come through with their own backgrounds, and how to facilitate a cohesive growth as a unit, where it becomes kind of a collaborative versus competitive. There's still healthy competition, of course, but it becomes more collaborative, and we're going to learn and grow together through sharing what we know.
Mm,
And how, as a business, what's that suite of services, that ecosystem that you bring in? If there is a lot of differences in, this isn't just a powerlifting spot, or this isn't just a spin space or just yoga, this is a space to move. It is a movement hub. When you're bringing in these different coaches and they come with these different modalities and methodologies and skill sets, and you've got yours as well, and things that you've worked on, your own physical and personal practice that you want to bring to light, that you found value with a client or with a group of clients, or just as a general practice. What was that ecosystem like for you? Was it, implementing different tools like the Mace and the kettlebell and the ropes, specifically, but also incorporating the fitness components and some of the traditional and more standard conventional stuff, and minding the gap between them, and helping the people that you're serving not get so caught up in the weeds of this or that, but just your movement and using this tool, or here's the program that you're going to take somebody through to foster an experience of feeling confident, feeling stronger, feeling capable, and also getting your ass beat because you haven't been working out at all, haven't been training at all.
mm.
How did you manage all that, or see the ecosystem of what you brought through that, especially? I mean, I want to get into what you're doing now, because I think it's even you're able to reach a lot more people and serve different demographics, not being just brick and mortar in one spot, but through being online. That initial stage with the training spot, what was that ecosystem like? I got to experience it a few times just with, playing around in there with the different
Yeah.
equipment, because it was a very intimate space. It's small, but
Yeah.
it's a
1,200 square
space that's
feet.
open. Yeah. What was that ecosystem like? How did you
Yeah.
start to kind of piece it together?
In the beginning, it was just communication and honest admiration. Like, hey, I really like what you do. Like from human to human, trainer to trainer. Like, I like the way you coach. I like the way you educate, and just making people feel safe. And I wanted them to know, like, I see you. And even though I don't practice breath work like this, and I don't practice mobility like that, I know how mindful you are being. I know what mindfulness looks like, and I know how much care and practice you're putting into yourself and into your people because you put it into yourself. So those mirrors of me, I was able to see and express that verbally, which I think created the first bridging of security. The next piece is realizing I'm not competing with these guys. I want them to win. If they do well, I'll do well. If we do well, the business as well. Okay, like there isn't a competition here. And I can't be training people all the time as the business owner. I need to grow the space. So why don't I put clients in their, book of business? Like I've been seeing people for years. I'm sure they're gonna love the variety. Like I'm boring over time to some people. It's like Woody and Buzz Lightyear. Like fuck, I want another fucking toy to play with, talk to, talk some shit. Like it's great to have partners, but having a handful can be really, really, can expand that circle of influence. Now you don't have just one person in your life that does fitness. You have four people in your life that do fitness, and you can be more influenced because you'll see more of our social media. You interact with all of us. So from a human perspective, psychological perspective, it just made a lot of sense for me to see everyone work with each other. And from a professional side, I don't want to teach all that breathwork stuff. It's now I'm getting more into teaching whatever as I learn more, right? The more you learn, the more you know, the more confident you become. You want to just teach all of it, or you think you know, right?
Mhm.
But I'd seen like Victor loves practicing his system, and the system he does gets results, and it helps a lot of people's lower back pain and neck pain. I don't understand it, but I know it works. I could smell it. It's a truth. I don't need to know the science to like smell. There's some truth here. So, and the results, happening results. So I'm getting a client, let's say, who is expressing in the last couple of sessions, hey, my back's been kicking a lot. Like I'm sore the next day, my back on, whatever. And it's becoming unusual. Not just a weak back, just, hey, doesn't know how to move. And I don't care to teach just extension and flex, extension and long in lengthen positions and whatnot at the time. Victor, I'd love for you to see her once or twice a week. I think it'll really help her out. And I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to drop down that much. I like being sympathetic. I don't want to go all the way down the parasympathetic. So let me help you out, help me out, help her out. Everybody wins. The business will make a little money. Cool. Sweet. Same thing with Frank at the time, like loves teaching mobility, loves joints all about. I'm not over here doing cars all day. Like I'm trying to fucking juggle at the time, flip, flow, rope flow, only Mace, everything flow, flow, flow. Some landmine in there at the time. But I don't care to teach that so much. How about you see that other person also? So once a week. So oh, Jimmy, you love teaching release work. Like you do it all the time and it comes off natural to you. Like, why don't you literally teach them for an hour how to release themselves? Like you do that. Now I'm able to start building business. I'm able to start building new relationships in the community. Thinking about events, I could think a little bit more because I have space to think and not just train from a business perspective. So that was the beginning of what it looked like. So I was just making deals that made sense to me. Like you need all this stuff, and I'm not the expert in all of it, so I should probably delegate it if I care about you. So that was what was done on an emotional level and a professional level. It just made sense from the sciences. They need this too, and not just to go hard. They need to drop down. I don't want to do that. I barely do it myself. I'm not the one to teach it. Let me give it to someone who's really passionate about it because they'll get them to want to do it. I get people to want to move. They can get them to want to be still. So, and then another big piece was getting the unit to have team time, to have visions together. So, for example, having a meeting where we would ask each other, like, where do we want to be as individuals? Does it line up? Can we find alignment here for the next few years? Do we think it's a possibility? And it all can change, but what do we think? I remember at the time I had experienced going to California, and I got to hang out with you and see Gymnazo and a slice of it, and see other facilities for the first time. I mean, Southern California, and I'm fascinated by all this community, and I'm so lit up seeing so many beautiful different ecosystems that all share the same love in a lot of ways. And I'm like, I can't wait to bring this energy back, and I do. But the other coaches need to see this. It's the only way they're going to see what I'm seeing from a different scope. Maybe they'll think bigger, like the way I'm. Maybe they'll have more fire to help push this ship, or I mean, whatever, to help really move this business and community to the big next level. Don't want to work harder because I want to work hard for everyone. I like seeing what I'm seeing. Like, imagine they had a bigger space, like, open gym membership because they have that space. Imagine everyone moving together unconventionally and conventionally if they want, like everything in between. Wow, I'm seeing this possibility, but I need other people to see this with me. And so I remember I took him to a trip to Gymnazo to see the culture and to get some education in what I was educated in with you a little bit. Just getting a chance to explore more 3D movements, more about moving in different angles, positions, transitions, etc. And I was like, I need these guys to get a whiff of this, and they'll see how we can bring some of the bridges here, how we can really bridge the gaps of what we're missing. I think as a leader and owner of the training spot. So trips were good. I took them to a Landmine University certification in South Florida. The business did, excuse me. I felt, even though we didn't have much, I never had much sitting in the savings because I like to invest. I was like, okay, let's go to Landmine. I already know it. I don't need the certification. I got that shit, but you guys will love this. Like being around other athletes, coaches, I will love it too, I'm sure. And so, if I worked at a gym, how would I want to be treated? Like that. So that was the way I approached it. I think that was pretty much it from all angles.
No, it's rad to hear because there's just so many moving parts that go into organizing that never really gets organized. It just becomes more cohesive and more passionate, and there's more fire that is built. I'm interested in the pieces that you find most beneficial to you from those methodologies that you went and got certified in, or styles of training with different tools, to where you are today right now. What do you find was like the most, top 3, top 5, or the combination of things that you feel like you've now integrated into your practice as it's your practice, right? And it's not necessarily every day is the same, or you're on some strict protocol, but you might have your own kind of programming set that you have, and you always include these bits and pieces because you feel like you've bridged the gap with a lot of the conventional, unconventional stuff that's out there. And it's all movement when it comes down to it. And it's all to facilitate some kind of expression, or share some kind of expression, or just to tap into our ability to express physically. What are those learning moments or those methodologies, those certifications that you today feel have set you up for the success that you're on in your own practice, to feel really confident and capable, not only as a coach, but more so as an athlete?
I love this question. I also have to use the restroom, so I want to answer it without having to think about that. I don't know how
You
that
got
works,
it.
recording and
Hey,
pause or whatever.
we'll take a quick pause.
Cool, but that's great question. We'll mute this unless you want to hear the stream.
All right, we're back. Now, the question was not stated like this, but we'll state it again. What paths have you wandered through that have helped mold your current mentality of your physical practice today?
Hell yeah. So every training modality has taught me something, and they all continue to kind of spiral back in my life according to how I need to move in life. Like it all that they kind of just listen to the body at this point. But I started off with conventional bodybuilding, or not necessarily going super hard on the diet or anything, but always with the lifting types: normal bicep curls, bench press, your basic lifts, your accessory lifts that would go with that, the complementing muscles, your basic bro splits, pull day, or push pull, and I would switch it up lower, all the time. And that taught me over time how to move very smooth, how to move with tension. intention and tension, how to really squeeze and stabilize and flex everything together and and even like if I wanted to just isolate one thing, just the pecs, just the chest, it really taught me how to stabilize a lot of the fibers, how to fire everybody up. So that was the beginning phase for me. Um, a second piece that came in, I would say, was actually looking back at it, my degree in kinesiology led me to shadow some physical therapy. And so seeing some praxis there and wanting to dive into more of the science of some of that got me more interested in corrective exercise, which kind of is what made me a more mindful mover as a bodybuilder starting out, very slow, very intentional, feeling everything because I knew that all the PT stuff, it's all very slow, it's all very controlled. So why not have that same approach to my lifts? And that helped me in the bodybuilding era when I first started with only that type of training. Then I came across another coach and someone who I thought was a very, very smart guy. He is a smart guy, Alex. At the time, the biomechanic was I don't know if he's still out there, his Instagram handle. But we worked together at a private training facility and I saw some of the cool shit he was doing, landmines and pulling a cable and jumping this way and doing weird looking stuff to me, but it looks right at the same time. And that was functional patterns was the modality, quote unquote, the system he was following, the praxis he was following. And he was explaining about gait mechanics and how, every step, if you think about it as like a squat, like I was like, oh, that's should probably be a good step. Probably should be kind of quality. Don't want my body breaking down over time because I'm not thinking about the way I'm stepping. And so I started to train in a similar facet of what he had taught me within a couple of the lessons. And just, I loved exploring it and integrating it. So all of a sudden I'm like walking with the landmine and I'm just sitting there holding a cable, and just holding a position for a minute just to feel things out. And I'm moving really, really, really slow, but with like constant tension and just exploring what turns on and what turns off by accident. Why does my right butt cheek turn off? And I'm trying to keep it tight. Is it supposed to turn off? I don't. At the time, I don't think it's allowed to turn off. No way. It's got to stay on.
Squeeze your
And
cheeks.
so, yeah, everything's got to stay tight. Only tight, tight, tight. So, and I'm still re-unlearning that again. It's I got into that functional patterns or functional movement type of training, gait mechanics. And then all of a sudden I saw a kettlebell at this private studio and Instagram. I saw somebody do a Turkish get up or something. And I was like, oh, that looks kind of cool. And I remember had so much time for the first time since not being at a corporate gym, hours. Well, might as well get better at this shit. Might as well like learn more while I'm fucking hanging out. And if I got time, I'm not doing 16 sessions a day. I only got two. At the time I'm, just starting out on my own. So why not explore? So I attempted a Turkish get up by what I had remembered seeing, and I got stuck at like 0.3. And I was like, oh, well, I should look it up and copycat. So I remember I did, and I was fascinated with, oh, I can move in all these ways and hold tension at the same time and all these different angles. What a cool new discovery of the body for me. It's not just like I'm squeezing something, I'm talking to everybody at the same time. My brain is firing, my left side, my right side. This is a new practice of flow for me. This is a new practice of focus and fluidity of really being intentional, not just a basic bicep curl anymore. This is combining all of those feelings together from head to toe a bit more. So I got into unconventional tools in the beginning with seeing the kettlebell. Saw someone flip a kettlebell on Instagram, and that immediately got so fascinated because it just was so flashy and reminded me of basketball. And I loved playing basketball growing up. It was the only sport I really put my time into. And the only thing I really, outside of like an online video game growing up, RuneScape 2007, let's fucking go, y'all. But outside of that, like I really only put a lot of my time into basketball. And when I saw the kettlebell moving through the legs and doing flips, I was like, this is amazing. Like this looks so fun. And so I went to the gym that day and I didn't know how to swing or anything. Went to a 24-hour fitness, most popular time, like 6 p.m., 5:30 p.m. And all the meatheads and people out of there, people are coming to bring out a lot of rage. And I'm over here like la di da, like trying to figure out how to throw the kettlebell and how does this work. And What's a swing? Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know I was supposed to engage anything. I'm just over. And the next day, on my back. Well, you didn't engage shit. You didn't engage your glutes. Of course, with a kettlebell, started off for me with as like a very fun, playful energy, and that took me out of this very serious training mode where everything has to be perfect and all the lines must be obeyed in any position. And so the kettlebell taught me many lessons, especially as a business owner at the time who had just taken over the whole business and what's going to work. Like, I don't know. So with, and I have anxiety. I don't know how to manage at the time, but every time I go play with the kettlebell and I go to train my people, it's fun for them too. Like I don't teach them that necessarily, but my energy is fun. So I should do the things that are bringing me this energy because I don't want to sit in I'm sad mode because this didn't work out with my ex business partner and I don't have a home right now and I have no cash and I can't sit in that. That's not going to be good to share. So I need to find something that's going to really light me up and keep doing whatever that is because it's working. Like people are coming, I feel good, they feel good, I'm sleeping all right. Like things will work out. So the kettlebell came to me at a really beautiful time. And then I believe I saw Leo Savage, one day on Instagram with the steel mace and doing steel mace flow. And I knew at the time, like that tool cannot be that easy. It's 10 pounds and I use a kettlebell and it's got a whole stick and a little ball at the end of weight. Like, and this guy is not like super fucking huge or ripped. He's lean and he's athletic and he's fit and he looks great, but like he's not like a giant meathead. So how is he handling it so easily? And at the time, I'm recognizing forces, and I'm over here like, oh, okay, like I understand leveraging motion from functional patterns of it, playing with a kettlebell, how to move with the bell, how to move around it, dance with it. So he knows how to dance with it, and it looks beautiful. It's so elegant, so expressive and beautiful, but strong. And I was like, I got to do that. So I ordered a 15-pound mace and did not go well with the 360s. Like pretty discouraged. But I think I don't know if he followed me at the time or just reached out. I was like, I would love to see you at the certification I'm hosting. And so I went to go take that certification in Miami and was finally slowed back down again. Because the kettlebell kind of picked me up. All of it was like, like move, 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 keep moving, gotta move, gotta move, gotta move, can't process, gotta move. And so don't process right now. Not healthy time to process all this stuff right now. This is the way. I gotta run, run, run. So I go and from dancing as fast as possible, listening to only soca music, like very like quick reggae, Latino music, like just anything that would get me going, 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 going. So all of a sudden, I am listening to like very light hip hop again, like naughty by nature, like just slowing down and getting a little funky with it. And the certification, he placed a system that has a lot of basics and fundamentals, the stability, a lot of those lines we need, like bodybuilding, but with a mace, a lot of concepts that would roll with that, and side lunges, so getting 2-dimensional, a little 3-dimensional as well, excuse me, but that was a good concept to slow me back down and really be more intentional with my mace, where I was over here just ready to flip it, throw it. And I still did that, but I remember going through certain times in my life where I would be sad and I didn't want to go sit at home and be sad. So I would go to the studio, the training spot, the gym, and I would just go in front of the mirror and play with the mace and have the LED lights going off and the whole funk with some slower, very light music that allowed me to feel my feelings while still moving, very slow and intentional. So that brought a lot of awareness in my life on an emotional level. And the rope, I don't know who I saw first doing it. I'm not sure, but um, I'd seen a lot of great practitioners, yourself, slush ropes, WEC. All of a sudden, I'm seeing this crazy dude. At the time for me, I'm like, who the hell is this guy? Bosey ball guy. What are you? And then that's a whole right. It's all the next track. This is where that goes, right? So the rope, I see that just flowing up, and it just looks so cool and looks so fun. It's another form of flow. The way I saw it is everything would make me better at everything. If I got better at understanding the kettlebell, I get better at understanding the mace. And if I got better at the mace, the rope, and then the rope to the mace, it all just kept translating over and over as I practiced each one. With the rope flow fascinated me on an IQ level, like hand-eye coordination, how like after I've learned all this flipping and how to use my hands in all these different ways, with the Mace, and how to use my eyes with it, and the vestibular training, all this training that's happening with all this fun. Um, the rope it just looks like a truth. It looks like something I need to understand. Patterns in there. Like, it's going to make me more coordinated from left side to right side. There's got to be something to this. There's athleticism. There's truth here. I see the spine. I'm starting to go, okay, like I'm seeing some patterns. I just know there's some good truths in this beautiful movement. And so, excuse me. And so I end up getting into the rope practice. I get taught one dragon roll, and I really go into exploration mode after that, like to learn everything else. My rope flow practice, I would copy patterns. Right? I would see you, or I'd see David Weck, or I'd see slot trips or whatever, and I would just, oh, that's a cool looking thing. Like, let's figure it out. And I would sit for hours and hours and hours with that rope, figuring it out. Sometimes microdose on mushrooms, and then just let's just fucking hang out for 6 hours at a 24-hour fitness sometimes, or a crunch where there's more space. And let me explore in front of everybody to remind everybody that we can all, and I did all the tools every time in public gyms too, not just the training spot, as my own way of not just being my exhibitionist or my athlete, my like, I got a showmanship, but a performer side, but also like I want to inspire other people to know there's other ways to move. Like, I care a lot about that because I thought there was only one way to move when I was in a box gym, a Globo gym. I want people to know like this could be way different, and this doesn't have to be for you right now. It could be for you later. If you're not liking it, like you're not going to stay consistent with it. So there's a thought process to tools. Tangent there, excuse me. So the rope taught me how to let loose for hours. Like every tool taught me how to let loose, but the rope just hit the next fucking level. It was like, okay, just let it go. Let your arms just do what the rope does. Let the rope dictate how you move. That little light thing that you're way heavier than, surrender to it and let it pull you wherever it says to go. And that was a beautiful, lesson and truth, and not just from a biomechanics perspective, but from a human perspective. Just have more fun. Just let it out. Like, let it go. Like, you can do a lot with this. Explore. There's so much. So more limitless possibilities come out from each tool. And then my next big thing was seeing the landmine coiling specifically, because again, I had been playing with the landmine tools and the gait mechanics and whatnot of moving my opposites, at the same time. But what the hell is this about? That looks really weird also at the time, and everything that looks weird to me is usually amazing. So let me go like, I can see there's like there's a pattern here. It's fast, but there's something beautiful to this pattern. Like, I need to know more, and I know it already relates to the things I'm doing. So I ended up going on a trip to California. I remember I go, you know what? I haven't taken a vacation in like 2 or 3 years since I opened the gym. I have some trainers here. They said it's going to be good for me. Like, they're right. I'm going nuts, over here. Like, I need to be around some other practitioners, some professionals, people who do this. I think it's time. So I remember there's Maui Fit at the time coming up, and I was like, you know what? There was multiple trips. There was that was the trip to see you. That was the first trip to see you. So that was before Maui Fit, I think. So it was with Vincent from Kinnies, right on the bridge. so we end up, seeing you, and that starts me with more of the 3D movement and introducing me into those patterns there, which is like, I didn't process anything at the time. I just received it. Like, you showed me the 3D maps, or 3D matrix, excuse me.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, I felt good. I knew that I needed to do it. And I didn't know why, but I just knew I needed to do it. And everything that was coming out from like the educators, I was so high on life to be there. It was so hard to hear anything. I was so happy. And that was the only emotion I could sit in instead of like student actually mode. So that was a download that I processed as I practiced every day. I would just do the lunge matrix over and over again from that point, pretty much for like probably 3 to 6 months straight nonstop, just because I knew I needed it. I knew it was important. Me falling off one of my feet at this angle was inappropriate. I should have more ownership over this. Look the way that I move already. I should know how to root myself everywhere. And so that lesson came later as a practitioner through practicing. That same trip, I had gotten exposed to, I'd gotten an opportunity to meet with David Weck and Chris Chamberlain. And they both really got me into the coil. I had trouble processing it and absorbing it because the energy was just so high. David Weck's energy at the time was like a 99, and I'm over here at a 99. And Chris is probably like an 88, but I'm already like, oh God, like everything around me. So I remember like they put me in positions, but I couldn't process. So I had like some absorption, and I knew I needed to explore this, but we only had like an hour together or whatever it was at the time. But I knew there was truth there, and I knew it was relating to Landmine University with Alex Canellis' system, which was the combination of the coil from David Weck or whatever. Who knows? It was all millions of years ago. Who knows? But point being, that same principle right passed into the Landmine, and I went to another gym at the time called Pacific Beach Training was the name of it, and the owner Junior Leoso invited me. You should come check it out. Me and Alex Canellis, we were getting back from Soar Next conference the next day or that evening. We won't really see you, but you should go check out that gym while you're in San Diego. I'm over here like, I'm so high off life, and I love checking out gyms right now and cultures and different machines and different styles and environments. And let's go. And I got to work out. Combination of all of it. So let's go. And I go there, and like 30 minutes in, Alex Canellis pops in. Hey, the crazy trainer. At the time, I had my brand had been building, and I'm over here like, oh my God, like this is amazing. You just walked in. I thought you were going to be here. And he's like, let's go to the back. I got to show you stuff. I got to show you the stuff. I was like, okay, like I'm here. Let's go. So we go like old, like backyard style. Like there's a nice gym, and then there's all these classes going on. So he pulls me to the back outside where it's like next to a garbage, like next to a giant dumpster right there, and fucking whatever's going on in the back. And there's this barbell plugged into the corner. Not I don't even know if it was it might have been in a sleeve. I think it was in a sleeve. So there is a barbell plugged into the Landmine, just in the corner of the wall, dirty wall, and he just starts me going and just gets me moving into positions, making sure I starts hitting my landmarks. And I walked away the sorest I've ever been. My obliques, my lats, so wrecked. Just from the wall stretch he had me do and getting me to coil properly, because again, I didn't fully process that coil. I didn't get as deep into it until I reached Alex. And because he would shove me, he's a strong guy. He just wants you to get it. So you one-on-one just forced me in that position and really make me feel what needed to be felt. And I remember at the time, just to share this, dude, he goes, Jarrod, I'm not the most spiritual guy, but when you feel this, it's like, and when you get it, there's something spiritual about this. He's like, there's something here. And I was like, okay. At the time, I'm just same boat. Like I'm the woo-woo people, like whatever. But I'm open-minded enough to accept and receive a download. So I walk away so sore, my obliques, lats, and realizing I'm disconnected on one side compared to the other. This is a problem. Like how one of my like my shoulder on this side doesn't connect well to my lat, which explains in my oblique and hip, which explains why my shoulder does so much. And it's always tight and hurting. And oh shit, my right fucking QL at the time is always hurting because it's too short all the time. Lessons still. So the Landmine was a powerful tool because not only did it get me way more connected to my body, which connected the steel mace and the rope on the kettlebell on a whole new level for me, got me way more fluid, but also stable. But it brought back another mentality. It brought back, you're an athlete, boy. Like you're a fucking man. Like strong man. Like you can
let's go.
You can explode. Yeah. Like you played basketball. You were used to jump. Like used to like fucking throw down, push weight, like move some weight, bro. Like you can move weight, you're strong. And so that kind of brought back that edge, that speed, that agility, that, hey, you're an athlete. Don't you forget it. Just because you're not playing basketball anymore and it's not your thing right now doesn't mean that you're not an athlete. And you're not just a flow daddy, just some guy just flowing all the time. And, Mr. Flow Man, like you have this dog in you too. And so the Landmine connected me with more individuals. Like I got connected to the flow world, right? The more 3D world with yourself, Weck, and all the other incredible coaches and athletes, but through Instagram and all that good stuff. But they're connected with other great individuals, I remember Tom Tom DeJulie, heavyweight landmine champion. I remember I'm in New York. I have no idea who this cat is. But he knows me, he follows me, and I was like, whatever, like, I don't know who you are. So he sees that I'm in New York and he just reaches out like, hey, let's get your landmine workout together. Oh shit, somebody else does landmine. This is sick. And so I go to the facility he's working at, and that built a beautiful relationship, right? And showed me how heavy I can go and how I can really tap into a level I didn't even know existed. I forgot that I could chase that wave as well. And so that landmine tool brought me more friendships. All these modalities brought me so many more friends, so many more mirrors, so many more good people in my life, um, other explorers, other passionate, crazy people.
Mm. Yeah, man. It's thanks for taking us on that journey through the different modalities. Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
want.
even now that they all spiral, they still spiral. And going heavy has been a new wave this year, and it's teaching me lessons right now. I'm going through now. It's reminding me like be more fluid again. You can't just do one.
Yeah, man. Well, each tool's got something to share, and I mean, our body is the ultimate tool in all the best ways. And the little implements we throw into the hands, or something that we're doing with our body, with trying to leverage a mace or a kettlebell swinging around our body, just the journey that it takes us through individually, I think that is the spiritual side of it. It's just you become present with what you're doing, because if you're not, you can really hurt yourself if you're not paying attention to how you are rooted. What's driving the motion? Are we just moving and letting the tool pull us? And is that all we're doing? At what point are we putting the rules on the tool, saying, this is what I want you to do, this is what I need you to do? And we go through something, and it's that constant connection of our intent with what we're doing, our intent with our action, and mirroring those two pieces. We intend for something to feel a certain way, or to look a certain way, and then we go to do it, and it doesn't come out smooth. It comes out sloppy. In fact, 100% of the time it comes out sloppy when we're starting out with it. And then
Mm,
something catches, something um, connects us to what we're doing, and it's that state of flow that our challenge is meeting our current skill level, and we're able to kind of step back or step up a little bit, or amplify the intensity, amplify the complexity, or bring in sectional skills that then turn into transformational skills from one position to another position. It all becomes this well worded poem, in a sense. Right? You learn the letters, you learn the words, aka you learn the positions, and then you learn some of the actions to do. Are you pulling, are you swinging, are you throwing, are you pushing? What are you doing? And starting to connect one point to another point to another point. It's like you got this dot diagram that you're putting pieces together, and can look back after enough practice, enough hours at it, going, I see the dots and I can just be there immediately. How powerful that is individually, for anybody to just say, I have the confidence to go and put my body in that position, and I know what to expect. So now I can change something if I want. I have the options, or the variety at my fingertips. And I think it's undervalued a lot in just the conventional realm, not putting down convention by any means, but I think that you can miss out on the opportunity to feel so connected and present, versus just, I need to get this done. I need to check it off the list. I need to get my reps in and my sets in and call it. And that's kind of just a flat line of where we're at. That does lead to gains and progressions, but not always in the ways that we would hope, more in our life and our emotions and how we're able to process things physically. And I think that's something so powerful with, I mean, your journey, I feel very similar in terms of the path of what tools presented themselves to me, is like that exact order. And
mhm.
how, looking back, they all are the same things. It's just something's a bit more stick-like, something's a bit more rock-like. And you want to talk about guys playing with rocks, it's just, there's euphoria there, dog. Like that's what we do. Pick up a
Yep.
rock and go throw it and see what happens. There's so much beauty in that practice, that I've experienced too. And you're talking about the mace and slowing down and processing emotion. There's so much beauty in that in itself, of especially as a guy, processing things physically. Like, when I get angry, I want to go hit something. I want to go break something. And to have something like a steel bar in the hand that could do some serious damage feels extremely empowering. And to hold it and go, I'm here right now. What's going to present itself? And with no real intent of I'm trying to process this one thing. It's just I need to let go of something. I need to go through something and feel the grit and be uncomfortable on purpose. But I chose to put myself through this discomfort. It really does bring a lot more ease to daily life, to situations that are uncomfortable and we didn't see coming. I, I wonder what that's like for you too with the Mace, because I see you move with it and I see the grace that you have and the letting go, the surrendering, how important that is for guys, especially to be able to let go and surrender with load and not have to just force the heavy stuff, which is extremely effective and beautiful too. It's just another version of the expression. But to truly check in with yourself and go, like, I feel here right now. I feel what's going on with me, and I feel better about the situation because maybe it's partly you're in more control, or more so that been able to off gas stuff physically that's building up emotionally and mentally and feeling like it puts blockers up or a blockade up of moving forward in life or just progressing into something. We hit stagnation and how uncomfortable that can be in itself. And as soon as you start flowing, it kind of gets the wheels turning again. It opens up that passion boat, that inspiration boat of I can keep walking this path and I'm going to get somewhere. I don't know where, but we're going to get through it. And then being able to leads people through that, not necessarily on that super deep emotional level, but on a physical level of connection of I am doing this thing and coach is looking one way and I'm looking a whole different way. How do I process myself back into what I'm actually doing? Getting myself to talk to my right hand and my left hand. Is it here or is it here? My hand flipped over, which way does it go? I'm running into a block again. I can't, how is he transition so smoothly? Oh, okay, I gotta connect with my hand. And just that process of reconnection into our body is the value. That is what movement can do for us. And having those different methodologies and modalities rather, to be able to express your being and develop your human through physical expression with some form of chaos and some form of organization and tamed control. That ebb and flow along that spectrum I find so powerful, and I'm hoping we're seeing more and more people gravitate towards the unconventional stuff because it does balance out this hardcore focused one way mentality that can only get us so far. Because if we're walking a path and we find value in it, yeah, hell yeah, we want to share that path with others, but they might be on a whole different version of that path, that the exact way that you've done something or shown something may not get them to break through, to feel that freedom and that surrender, to be able to make the choice for them in their next step in life, or they're just to show up and be consistent with something. You can find the progressions and the growth through developing skills that then, like you said, can develop into going heavier and feeling confident with the heavy loads because you know what you're capable of. And it's that if you've taken yourself through something unknown, your body needs to process it to figure out how to become more effective or more efficient with whatever you're doing, and to give yourself the time and the respect and the honor to continue that practice, knowing that by showing up for yourself, you're going to get somewhere. If you keep showing up for yourself, you're going to be able to process in a different way or not feel that stagnation hold as long. If you experience a lot of that kind of emotional release through the tools that you've used, and how do you, if you're going through some shit emotionally, you're feeling anger or you're feeling sadness or just like I don't give a fuck, I feel depressed, I don't want to do anything, and that there's something to get out of that. How have you chosen the tool or chosen the frame of practice, and has it been effective in getting you through some of those emotions? Not that the emotions are bad by any means, but they're emotions that we need to process and experience. How do you go about kind of attacking your training when you are in an emotional state? How does that determine your tool selection or your method selection?
I love what you're saying because it's exactly how I process a lot of things as well. How I feel about tools and myself when I need to pick up a tool. It's not always the same tool. Um, each everything comes back to knowing how you're feeling. I think that's in a perfect movement world. Um, that is the biggest piece is how am I feeling today, like in this moment. And have I really processed it? Have I really expressed it, whether that's verbally? Like if I'm angry, I'm gonna start with sadness here. I'm sad. Have I vocalized it to people? Do I want to vocalize it to people? Does that feel like a thing that feels good right now? Do I want to sit with this? Do I want to sit and feel like this the whole time? How long do I want to feel like this? Like feeling your feelings, I think, is really step one in a perfect movement world in that aspect. Um, because if I'm feeling, let's say, very sad, let's say a combination, let's start with just sad, but let's say I'm feeling very sad and something didn't go that way I was hoping it would go, and I'm in a tough situation. The mace is something I would use in a slow way to process that emotion. It's something that I can be very slow with, but not just in one way. I can do it in multiple ways. And that fluidity in the beginning of very slow can take me to another emotion as I ride that wave.
Mm.
And then there's also very, very slow bodybuilding. Like lately, what I've been doing is this very controlled, stable movement. And that brought me back to like a time in my life when I was sad in some ways and I was angry and whatever the emotions were. And lately, bringing that back reminded me like, oh, there are some emotions I have that are some sadness. And this is a nice way to sit with it, to have this song, these types of music. Like, Denver, the injury happened about 5 weeks ago for myself or whatever it is, like at this point. But I remember getting back at the body, being like, just bro building, like only chest flies and like very stable things because my body, if I do anything, like my leg tenses too much and it hurts. And if I go too powerful with the full body, so I got to keep it really controlled and squeezed. And the music I'm playing is like fucking Green Day, 121 guns, no, 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 just moving so
Yeah, you're out here
slow,
crying,
like
doing pec flies.
pretty much, right? Pretty much
You're just
those
ringing it out,
rows,
baby.
man.
Yeah.
Fucking Creed Bros, baby, like the whole other level. And I felt really, really good after those sessions. And I walked in feeling like and I walked out feeling like like I feel like, yes, more pumped and rock, but like feel like I breathe smarter, like
Mm.
things like that. Like I drop my sympathetic state or whatever I'm feeling just through this type of movement. Then with the mace, like I moved the other day and it really helped me release my leg even more, whatever has been going on, tension has been going on, and just aligning my skeleton with the weight in proper ways and in ways that were showing me like, oh, I'm very unstable here. And I'm over here trying to take very heavy loads, lots of heavy weight, but I'm not there yet. And I need to practice what I used to practice, which is stability, being very hard also, like preparing for heavier weights, heavier loads. So I don't want to have something like that happen, or I want to minimize that risk. So the emotions of sad and anger, they gotta go for me for those modalities. Um, I have gratitude, which has been very powerful in my flow. I think that also has made me stand out in the community. Is gratitude is something that I usually let out through rope flow. I let it out through kettlebell flow, and that's where it's very fast, explosive. It's all over the place. Like I remember in the beginning, I used to always move my feet. I go from one side of the turf to another side of the turf in seconds. I just had to be everywhere. I had to let everyone know, like I am so grateful. Like I don't need to tell you all the wins going on in my life. I'm just gonna tell you I'm really, 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 really grateful. And I'm gonna share this feeling of gratitude with the internet and whoever's watching in person. If anyone's watching and it's just me, I'm still sharing it with all of me. That was the beginning of like me sharing more of those practices. It wasn't just about showmanship. I didn't realize that at the time. It wasn't just about performing and sharing and getting Instagram. It was me saying, "Hey, I'm so so grateful, and I want to share this with everyone." And again, I'm not trying to brag. I just want to share this energy with y'all to let you know, like we can all do this feeling. So moving with the kettlebell like that in the beginning was huge for me to get me into more playful. Like, hey, I'm tired of feeling sad. Like, let me go play. Like, let me go
Yeah.
into my kid again. Like, life is life. Like, it's a part of the experience here. So, um, the Mace also, I think, set me apart in the Mace community in the beginning. I think there wasn't a lot of people moving very quickly with it. From looking back at it, where they were just like letting it pull them and just letting the like it was a lot more strict and slower. How I remember seeing the community start off with it, and I remember just I'm taking this bitch to the beach. Like I'm gonna go crazy on the beach with all these things, maces, ropes, kettlebells. When I move really explosive and fast with the mace, it's a lot of gratitude going on. So when I move that fast and I feel like a lot of gratitude, um, when I'm building, I have this feeling I need to build, I need to create, I need, I have this like hunger. Seems to be that lifting heavier loads is a big part of that. And, I'm realizing that is a big core of who I am. It's a piece of it. And I currently, at least, it's a bigger core of who I am. I still feel like I'm in this very building phase. In a lot of ways, I feel so new to everything I've done. As much as like I have all these skill sets under my belt, it's like the principles I unconsciously didn't think about in the last, year in a lot of ways too, because I had a lot of emotions that were not totally processed, and even realizing like this, incident that happened, and it's pulling me back into a softer state, into a more fluid state. It's funny actually. It's not making me more fluid. It's making me be more tight if I'm going to lead that path, if you will. Or if I'm going to combine that path, I need to really combine fluidity and stability all the way without and stillness. Like those whatever all the pieces are in our heads. I guess it's three in my head right now. But I need stability, I need stillness, I need fluidity, and I need all three within all three in this current phase of my life to sustain the energy I've felt in a lot of ways this year that I want to continue to feel, as I age and progress in my training career and in my fitness journey.
Mm. Might be a funky question, probably not a direct answer unless you have one, but in the ways that you communicate to your body, especially going through an injury and it puts you into a whole other headspace, and shifting how you've been training for, past months or years, with the intent of more that play and just get after it and the grind. That internal communication that you have with yourself, I'm always interested in what that experience is like and how you would articulate it, especially as you're problem solving, and setting your body up for more success to heal, in a more effective manner. What is that conversation like when you are on a foam roller, or you are sitting with the mace? I ask this because I have a lot of people that are interested in kind of going into this space, but don't necessarily have a framework or a compass on how to explore. And I think it starts with obviously understanding techniques, more so positions that you're going to be getting into, and then transitioning from positions to another to create this unfolding, of that communication. You've got a bandwidth enough to know that you don't have to check on your feet and check on your shoulders and check on your hands. You just feel them, right?
Yeah.
What's that process of scanning and communication? What's the kind of feedback your body gives you? And if you want to touch primarily on the injury that's going on with you right now, I think it's a great space to be, especially while you're in it, because you're vulnerable and raw with yourself in that, and even with community. I totally get it when you're hurt and injured as a coach and used to performing and being that high level athlete, and then going through a wave of, I'm not at my peak right now. I'm not optimally moving the way that I want to, and I'm connected with. I'm in fact out of alignment with that, and trying to problem solve it. Take us through that mental heart journey, that you're currently experiencing, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I appreciate you asking. I feel as a human, there's a level to that. So as a human, it's having people to talk to about it. Like I reached out to you because I feel like in a lot of ways we can relate and you can see me when I say I'm hurting. It's you understand what it means to have a lot of connection to your body and freedom to your body. And so having people to express that to who really do value what that means in my perspective through my lens made me feel, like that's vulnerable. And I'm telling another man like I'm hurting and like I'm asking, like, even though I'm not saying, hey, love up on me, like thank you for sending me love and sending me hope, like and reminding me like I'm also capable and I'm also smart and I'm also yeah, able, and it's having people that I could express to that didn't enable me and enable a victim mentality. Was a very powerful process for me. And even to identify that process was going on in the subconscious level as a human, I think was pretty important for me to experience and to continue experiencing. In that sense, asking for help, right? Hey, do you have thoughts? What your expertise? Have you seen this stuff before? What do you think? Like that's goes back on the charts of when I owned the gym on vulnerability. That brought me closer to people. That brought me more meaning in my relationships. So that's one end. Another piece is when you are going through those thoughts, the negatives, they do come, like, am I ever going to be able to do this again? Like, is this the end? Is this how am I never going to be like that again? And the truth is you won't. And on some level you have to change. Like I can't be the exact same. On some level I have to change because what wasn't working. And it will work within whatever else parameters I set up with intention. And so fighting those mental battles and like, hey, should I just sit on the couch today and just be still? Is that what's best for me? And I know in my heart it's not. Like sometimes it is, but like just to sit here in my thoughts and cut myself off from people and not be in a space at all and not connect, like it's not going to help me. And so as a human being going through those thoughts and realizing like I'm only hurting myself, and creating more panic and doubt and stories that don't exist and aren't reality. So again, having people to lean on was really huge for me, and to continue to lean on is still really huge for me. Asking for help. Um, as an athlete, it's discouraging as a human who values himself and as a mover. And I don't get hurt. My lines are so crispy, and
Mhm.
I don't have to do all the things because I'm so crispy. Um, that was a very humbling moment for me, to realize like, hey, bitch, like you started with stability. When's the last time you slowed why are you deadlifting 60? When's the last time you leg pressed? When's the last time you unilateral trained for real with isometrics? When's the last time to earn that weight? Like I look back at it like that, where it's like, damn, that's kind of true. Like I'm strong, but kind of forced some things there in that sense. I didn't, pay attention to even that day what happened. Like the emotion I was really in was gratitude, and I went over there and tried a 625 deadlift with gratitude. Even though like gratitude is a powerful emotion, I don't think it was for me at least not meant to be processed like that. And I didn't recognize that early in the morning. It was just, I'm trying to get my gains. I gotta keep going. I gotta keep this wave moving instead of me taking a moment to process. Like, I should have broke the this morning and come back later. Like that's something that I would usually, if I was in my right headspace, would be really processing, subconsciously at least, if I was more connected. Um, so the injury, like, it's just continuing to teach me as an athlete. Um, I'm always an athlete, and there's always ways to continue moving and to not stop. And as a human, those lessons are still in there. As a coach, I'm just as impactful. I mean, if anything, I'm more relatable right now to everyone I've ever worked with and everyone, most of the community. I'm more relatable. Oh shit, he can get hurt. Oh shit, he is hurting. He understands me a bit more. Like right now, I can understand someone's knee. I was feeling my knee for like 5 days because I thinking about it now, my connections weren't on my fibers all through my quad, hip, like, or they were, I don't know yet, so tight they couldn't open and do their job, flex and extend, rotate, 3D movement of the fascia. So my knee, for the first time in my life, I'm feeling, and I'm like, what is this? Inflammation? Like, is this gonna tear? Like, this is what happens over time? Like, oh my God, like this is the fear I walk in. It's like if I step the wrong way, like this is done. Like, what a
Mhm.
scary world to live in. That I don't feel capable of anything. If I pick this weight up wrong, like this could tear. Like I'm done. Just I can't trust my leg to hold me. Um, what the fuck? Like this is. I don't want to even. So that was another feeling of doubt that was all over my body. I had to live it, embody it. I breathed it in. Um, Shame. Hey, I'm selling this unfuck yourself mentorship, and I just fucked myself. Oh shit, I got to really go back into all the things that I know are true as a coach. I got to go into more mobility. I got to go into more breathing, stability, isometrics, like all the basics that created such a good foundation, I stopped doing for years. Like, what a humbling slap to the face. I say I want to do this for the rest of my life. 10 years in, I got hurt, but it's telling me if I want to do this for the rest of my life, you got to start switching some things up. Like you got to pay attention to the things you already know, or else it's going to hurt really, really bad later. Um, so that lesson's there. Shit, as a coach, also like it's empathy. Like people understand, like, hey, I can't demo this today, but you guys know what it looks like, or I can ask somebody else in class to demo it. That kind of stuff is there. As a content creator, like, man, I got to create different content. I was really enjoying putting up the same shit, just workouts, heavy workouts. People want to know, like, I'm strong. Everyone knows I'm strong. I'm strong. I want to share how to get stronger. And there's lots of ways to do that. And it really put me back into that mindset as a athlete. There's a lot of ways to improve always. I can work on my whole left side right now for the first time in my life. I can do way more left side training. I was just going to train the right side of my brain, which is going to allow the right whole side to chill the fuck out because it's always been the main dependent piece of my body. And I think that's a big part of what led to what happened anyways. So kind of stepping back and making myself a better athlete in that sense, but also from a coach's perspective, right? That's a science to it. Like, oh shit, that makes a lot of sense. I spoke with some great practitioners, Brian Butts, Mobile Mammoth, and he put me in this position, and I was like, we couldn't explain it really, like we didn't explain it all, but I felt what it needed to happen. I was like, oh, my left oblique sucks. Like it's so weak. Oh, like duh. Like shit. That's why my whole body's off right now. My quad's probably spiraled out right now. I need to spiral back in the whole leg, the foot up to the hip. There's some theories, right? I don't know. But my scientist hat kind of kicked in the last 4 to 5 weeks. The last 2 weeks specifically, as I've become a little bit more rational. We're just going into like nobody can really help me. like I have to figure this out myself. And I know there's a lot of good sources and information, but ultimately, what's always helped is exploration. So this is a time in my life to not only focus on like training and servicing others, like explore, slow down, feel everything out, look at the lines. What lines can you hold right now that feel good and why? What positions can you hold right now well and it feels good? What's uncomfortable? Is it really uncomfortable, or is it you're doing something that you're not supposed to be doing and that area still wants to take over? How do you release that? Ooh, you got to breathe. You got to really slow down. So it's really slowed me down in a healthy way. I know long term wise, like longevity, it's really brought me back to my roots in training in a lot of ways, and really has forced me to practice more branches that I have explored, but on a deeper level, going into the leaves, if you will. Right? It's like I can actually like, oh, that's a cool, like I touched that system, but let me actually go a little deeper in it and see what else I can get out of that experience and add it to my toolbox.
Yeah, there's a lot of data that comes from the exploration with ourselves, and it unfortunately and fortunately takes a lot of patience because obviously when we're in pain or injured, we want to be out of it and healed as quick as possible, but our body's got its own timeline to heal. And 8 weeks, 12 weeks can seem like a lifetime. 3 weeks can seem like a lifetime. The first week of being injured feels like forever. Like
Yep.
it's like when you're sick, you're like, you're gonna get healthier, but you're like, I'm dying.
Ah.
I'm dying right now. This is it. I can't breathe. I can't see. I can't think. I just want to sleep. This is my life.
Yep.
And it's like the body
Ah.
forces us to slow down, and it knows a lot more than our brain ever will. The universe
Mm.
throws stuff at us consistently, but I mean,
That
you
was the other
are
thing for
you
empathy
are
that you just brought
multidimensional,
up,
dog. What was that?
That was another thing that you brought up that I forgot to communicate about being able to empathize with people who do have pain, because I haven't ever had to sit with it and feel it like that, and where every moment I just want to get out of it. Like, and that's all I'm thinking about is for the first time I'm training at my people and I'm over here dabbling with my own hip, trying to figure out what's going on. Am I really present with them? I know I'm not as present with them as I normally am. I'm in my own head right now. And it just, same thing when I was training, like a group training class, like I got the program, that's easy, no problem. I can run the music, okay, no problem. But I'm not walking around and really helping and motivating and, in ways that I know I can really, really hold more space and provide more juice for the community. And seeing that side of just, oh, pain will take you out of the present moment. It puts you in your head. And people live like that their whole lives. And the only way to get out of that is yourself and being around good people that can help you see yourself.
Yeah, there's certainly a level of acceptance, but not accepting the fate for what it is, or excuse me, accepting the fate for what it is, not what the story in our head makes of it, and getting lost in creating the story of our future when we need to be, our body's sending signals to say, feel me, hear me, love me, respect me, honor me, do something about this, but also
Hmm.
be within your bounds of listening to me, right? Versus trying to ignore the sensation and go around, go around, go around. It's always an act of revisiting, you know, after you do something, how do I feel now? And there's not always immediate change. In fact, most of the time there's not immediate lasting change. There might be a subtle sensation shift and then, oh, I'm that re-identifying with that uncomfortable sensation. It's like, this is me now. Getting out of that spiral and saying, this is me currently, but how am I setting my body up so that when I come out of this, in some way, shape, or form, how is it going to shift my perspective or my lens of how I continue to move forward? You know, or is it just one of those little blips that you heal and you're like, I don't even think about it anymore. And then it's something that recurs in another way. It presents itself because it's never truly been processed. And there are so many people that I see that have been experiencing pain in the same space for 20 or 30 years. And I'm sure you've heard the same, you know, that chronic discomfort, and recognizing that there's a lot we need to do here. And a lot of it's just repositioning your lens within the frame of your body right now versus the lens that you've created for yourself on how you think you're supposed to live your life now or how it's going to be. Sometimes just having those conversations and opening up with somebody else who's ready to hear, not somebody who wants to tell you what to do. And I know what this is, but like, oh, I've seen something like this, or maybe I've never seen something like this, but here's something to try. Or, hey, just ruminating in yeah, this does really suck. I wish you the best of luck. I'll be here along the way, but I think it does come down to having a multidimensional approach to health and to wellness and to then reintegrate as if you would with any other physical experience or traumatic experience, whether it's physical or mental, emotional, knowing that there's a wave that you're in and kind of recognizing and aligning with where you're out on that wave. And it may be an emotional wave of something that I'm at a high peak and I'm so grateful. And it's like, we still need to check that, you know, because you're at that high wave crest and peak. You still have this foundational baseline of who you are, what you are, how you are. And then we get this peak, we might have a little boost. What do we do with it? And can we recognize where we are and check ourselves and taking, you know, that risk and reward of what we're about to do. And then when we're in this maybe a lower state, again, it's all part of the same wave, but just recognizing it. And it's not always fun. If it's always fun, we might be missing something because we have to have that kind of balancing aspect of life, something that we maybe didn't choose, but life chose for us. But we get to say, hey, now we're on a relationship with this next wave. How are we going to approach it? And whether it's surrounding yourself with a community of people that you trust, it's putting yourself into an environment of people that are high energy and can lift you up, or also taking that time to be in silence and stillness and just process, like let your body feel what's going on, cry the shit out, you know, act on a bit of the anger in some way that's safe, and continuing to just process. Because if we're not, something stagnating and potentially building in an ignorant way, just being with it and being with it. So I appreciate you being raw and vulnerable with where you're at right now in this, and hope you're still on the mend and recovering and
For
can
sure.
get back to the next version, Crazy Trainer 3.0.
For sure. Thank
But
you.
I appreciate you, man. Anything you want to share too that you've got rocking? I know you got the project that you just released, the Unfuck Yourself. Do you want to touch on that a little bit more so people know what's up with that?
Yeah, the Unfuck Yourself mentorship is just a collective of whether it's coaches, fitness enthusiasts who would like to learn from me. The systems that I've been handed down, that I've explored, and what I have found that's most effective currently, up to date, onto where I feel can help people systemize their movement, and help them guide themselves on, hey, like just like I did, I had a big issue, but there are steps to get out of this quicker. There are steps to find out, man, what are my missing links? Is it instability? Is it in fluidity? Is it in my breathing patterns? Is it a combination of it? Do I not do soft tissue work? How do I get myself to drop into different states? And how do I start to feel and recognize what's going on? So having just a collective of right now people who would like to get more into their body is pretty much what's going on with the Unfuck Yourself mentorship. And again, they're just learning the way I regurgitate systems, which is, I believe, simple for like a 5-year-old to understand. For example, one of the things I went over recently was like with another great coach, but he explained it to me in such a complex way. I really couldn't resonate with it. But I knew what they were looking for me to look for, the position. And so I just played basketball in that position where I was like, oh, let me just hold this position with the basketball and then breathe here. And that should help, lengthen my right side and open things up and share my left, so I was able to make it mine because that to me was the way they explained it. I needed to have fun. Like on some level, I needed to play and explore in the position while also knowing it's going to bring value to me. And so that's the way I resonate, where I can explain it now to a coach that isn't super scientist, that isn't someone who ever cared for a giant vocabulary. And they just want to know, hey, what point A, point B, point C? Oh, that makes sense. Obviously, I can always go deeper, but at least I have this scope from this angle to help me out on my journey. And if I can know where the resources are, like for example, I share the systems I get with my mentees and I say, hey, this is from this company, this system specifically is what I got out of them. But if you want to go deeper down this rabbit hole, like that's where they're coming from. But here's like 6 systems that I can share with you, but in a way that is not super tough to digest, and you can walk away feeling really good and more confident each session. So that's a mentorship for anybody. And then the next thing I'm launching is a subscription to my website, which I'm really excited about. This next few weeks, it's going to be a combination of all the content from the Unfuck Yourself program, so how to do soft tissue work throughout your body, breathing positions, stability positions, just all types of content that I think can really help people that are similar to me or similar minded and could learn from my voice, ways that are going to make their training a lot more fun, effective, safer, efficient, optimized. Also, all the modalities are going to be on there over time, where all my kettlebell programs are already up there, but then I'll make a few Mace flow programs and Mace programs that can go up there, and just starting to share my sauce a bit more inside of that, and building more community within that website and subscription is going to be something that I believe is going to be really powerful for all of us to motivate each other to be a little bit more crazy in life and everything else. So that's another big thing. And workshops, we talked about running a workshop, I think in late August or sometime in August or end of July or something along those lines.
Sometime this year, baby.
September. Yep. Sometime this year, running more workshops. That's lighting me the fuck up too. I do it on my own right now for the last few of them, but I know that when I'm with the right people and I can share the stage with people who love what we love for the sake of it, it always goes really well. So I look forward to being able to do that with you and a couple of others this year, being able to host it at On It Gym. I'm at On It Gym, another incredible community, which I run classes there regularly for that community, with that community a couple of times a week. I run my personal training business that I run in person because no matter what happens online, I love connecting with people one-on-one and seeing those mental clicks virtually as well as in person. So my personal training I'm still doing. And the other piece is looking to work with companies that want to see their brands move and my brand move. So like brand building with the Crazy Trainer, I'm really enjoying finding companies that think that we can potentially grow together, because I don't want to just keep doing short-term things with people. I want to find some sustainability. If I want to refer people to a program or refer people to a specific product, I want to feel really good about that. And I want to be a bridge for people to be like, oh, like for example, I have, just to share with Gymnasio, you guys, because I love a lot of what goes on with the education there, of what I know about it. I'll have a trainer, someone who wants to become a trainee or whatever. Hey, like, what do you recommend to get certified? NASM, Mace. I'm like, I wouldn't do either of those. I would look into this, and I'll express MD&MC if they really want to understand things from a scope as quick as possible. Because I know like, what I'm doing with the Unfuck Yourself program, I'm sure you guys have like systems that have been shared for long periods of time. So I think that that's like if you're looking for like a gold standard right now in the system of fitness, in the realm of fitness, and combining all things, they're the closest to the gold standard in that aspect. So I would send someone who's brand new, wants to be educated for like in a formal way. That's where I would refer them. And so building relationships, whether it's with you guys or, for example, WEC or other companies, versus like I love sharing that, but also like can we find ways for all of us to win, is important for me as a business person, because that's going to empower more freedom for myself, and that means more freedom for everybody else that I love, and I want to give more of that love from an overflowing cup. And so that's another just big goal of mine moving forward, is just aligning myself with the right companies. Yeah, and growing together a bit more.
Opening the freedom and joy through movement, man. No doubt.
Yeah, and I'm
Well,
going to Italy next week also. That's going to be
what?
amazing. Yeah, for Human
Nice.
Fit. And so I'm excited for this next year to travel a bit more and just teach in different countries, potentially different states, collaborate a bit more, and bridge more of the fitness community, because I feel the Crazy Trainer is the brand is really just a giant bridge.
Yes, my man.
Yeah,
Bridges getting bigger and thicker across the network.
hell yeah.
I appreciate you, man. That was a beautiful chat. I think I could just hear you talk for hours, man. That was music to my ears. So
Dude, thanks
appreciate your
for
time.
asking the questions that were beautiful and sharing the space. Easy to chat with you.
Yeah, looking forward to sharing space later this year at On It, man. A little
Hell
spherical and
yeah.
some savage skills. We'll see what's up, but definitely bringing out the toys and the tensions and the smiles.
Hell yeah. Most importantly.
All right, brother. Until next time, cheers, y'all. That was Jarrod Cardona on Gymnazo Podcast. Have a beautiful one. Peace. Hey, everybody. This is CJ Kobliska with the Gymnazo Podcast. We have a beautiful, beautiful human joining us today. His name is Jarrod Cardona, aka the trainee, not the trainee, the crazy trainer on Instagram. He is based out in Austin, Texas, and we're going to be diving into essentially his background in training, in opening up his own gym and shifting over and moving to Texas and building up his online platform with the Crazy Trainer and the services that he offers with kettlebells and soft tissue restoration and performance. It's a great conversation diving in deep to those weeds, and then also in his own personal practice with those tools and how they become more of a spiritual connected tool to his own body. And not just moving fluidly and with more flow, but with strength, with ease, with gratitude, how to move different emotions, but choosing different tools and moving forward from there. So hope you enjoy this podcast with Jarrod Cardona. And don't forget, we have a big event coming up in August. It's our 2-day 3D movement workshop. It's going to be very experiential, not a lot of sitting, but a whole lot of moving. We're diving into a lot of practices, best practices and philosophies that we've integrated here at Gymnazo. And it's going to be a hell of a time. We got some awesome sponsors and just a great time to network and to play with movement and also restore, learn some quality ways to create soft tissue techniques for your clients in a group setting, and to mobilize and then to stabilize those joints. So stay tuned for that. Get signed up for that August workshop. I will see you there. And for now, enjoy the conversation with me and Jarrod.